I really like to thank the staff. I thought that since the end of the season and all the things that we have been going on, we've operated, 2 coaches short on the recruiting trail. Those guys had to double up their efforts, and I thought they did a fantastic job for us. There's no doubt about it. We really like the way the class finished, and we'll see where we're going to go from here. I got to work this morning. Started in my office, walked down the offices, went up the back stairs and went through all the coaches' offices, some of the coaches in their rooms, some of the coaches not in their rooms, went down the steps, shot through the locker room, caught the guys that had working out early in the morning, some clothed, some not clothed, went through that to the locker room, caught all the guys in the locker room who were just coming out of the weight room. I did skip the training room, went into the weight room, and then reversed back out and got into the cafeteria. And I'm excited that recruiting is over and I can get back with the La Familia, the Ohana, this family that really, really matters, okay, who's changed their bodies. They're not little guys, they're big guys. And we're going to need a lot of those cats if we're going to compete in the ACC Atlantic. So this was an exciting day. My hair is starting to stand up right now. If you don't believe me, you can come take a picture of it, send it on the internet. And I can't wait to get started with this staff, okay, that we've chosen to lead the young men that we have.
Welcome to the Cuse Militia Podcast with those 2 unapologetically biased, orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
What's up, Cuse Nation? Thanks for tuning in to the Cuse Militia Podcast with Sean and Joe. If you like it, as always, please share it. The universal handle for the socials is at Cuse Militia. Go there, join the militia. We are the only Syracuse sports podcast centered around giving you, the fans, a voice. Welcome. Happy Thursday. And we are back a day later than we were expected to, but Wake Forest had a game last night. We kind of wanted to just give you fresh stats and whatnot, plus watch the game. I don't know if I watched the full Wake Forest game yet this season, so watch them play Louisville. Played them pretty good for most of the game. We'll get into the pregame for Syracuse as Wake Forest will make the trip north to play Syracuse Saturday in primetime at 8 o'clock. Also, real quick, we're going to talk about some of the football news that recently came out. We had...
yesterday was National Signing Day, Sean.
Yes, and it was so exciting. I could hardly contain myself. You can come take a picture. I got goosebumps. You can put it on the internet.
Early signing days kind of taking the fun out of this date, but for bigger school, I mean, there are guys that wait this long. So we've had more action in that period in the past. It's just this year was definitely a little slow.
Yeah, it was a little slow. Why is that? Just is it the lack of coaches? Was it just sometimes it happens? It's cyclical? What?
Nah, I mean, just sometimes you have less guys that commit on the early signing period, so you're fighting to kind of keep them there. And so sometimes when that happens, then if we had 5 or 6 guys that waited and didn't sign early, but then they still ended up coming to Syracuse, then we would have had 10 more guys and it would have looked a lot more, positive. So I just think a lot of it had to do with the majority of our guys signed on early signing day.
Well, the plan was to split these two things up, but Joe, he didn't want to do it last night. He didn't want to talk about football last night, which shocked me. I was taken aback by it. I could not believe it. But we decided to cram it all in today. So that's what we're going to do. And we are going to cram it all in today. But before we do so, attention, past, present, and future MyBookie players. Look, if you know what sportsbook betting's all about, I recommend you head over to MyBookie. If you don't know what it's all about, then you could ask around, you could do your own research, or you could use MyBookie's patient customer service. So they can walk you through anything. They can walk you through the process. They can answer any of the questions you have. And right now, they're still running the dollar-for-dollar match deal. So it doesn't matter whether you're an experienced player or a first-time customer. MyBookie welcomes all to come to play. So quit waiting around and sign up today. How do you do so? You go to mybookie.ag. And when you make your first deposit, Use the promo code CHAIR. That's CHAIR, CHAIR. And MyBookie will match your deposit dollar for dollar to jumpstart that bankroll. So just log on to mybookie.ag. Make your first deposit using the promo code CHAIR. And MyBookie will match you 100%, up to $1,000. After that, you're on your own. MyBookie.ag. You play, you win, you get paid. Thank you, MyBookie. All right, so Syracuse, they looks like they will hire Arizona State's Tony White as new defensive coordinator. And we had the deal with the last coach. If you listen to Coach's press conference on National Signing Day, you know that he didn't want to comment on it. He's not he's not part of the Orange, so he left it at that, which is probably the best thing to do. White comes from Arizona State. He was defensive coordinator under Herm Edwards. You may know Herm Edwards. He was a big name in the NFL for a bit. So he was coaching defensive backs, and he was moved up to defensive coordinator. And before that, he was a member of Rocky Long's staff at San Diego State. So, and New Mexico before that. So, and he brings the 3-3-5 defense. He also was named the Scout.com Mountain West Recruiter of the Year for cornerbacks, according to
2 times, right?
Yeah, 2 times. Yep. So, that's something to hang your hat on. He's a good recruiter. He's bringing this 3-3-5 defense. Joe, what's the 3-3-5
obviously
all about? Obviously, what?
Well, again, a lot of when it comes to what you want to, Babers came in, wanted to run the 4-2-5 because he knew that I think they're just good at recruiting those defensive backs, the Power 5, top level guys. I think that that's one of our strongest points and has been as far as recruiting since he's been here. But a lot of it has to do with who else you can recruit. And one of the areas that we've had a difficulty recruiting, I feel, is the defensive line. I know that we had some guys that were from the Schaefer era still, and they ended up being pretty good and stuff like that. But we've been able to really, I think this past last year's class, I think we got really good athletic linebackers, and we've been able to get a lot of these tweener guys where they're not really defensive ends, but they're not really linebackers, and their skills kind of bounce back and forth. But we've been really, really good at getting talented defensive backs. So I think the 3-3-5, what that really does is it just gives you a little bit more flexibility based upon your personnel and based upon, I think, where you're really successful at recruiting. You look at having McKinley Williams, Josh Black, and Kingsley Jonathan coming back. They're all going to be seniors. That's a solid 3 to kind of hang your hat on. But after that, we really don't know if we got that next guy in line that can kind of pass rush and still hold up on the run. So what a 3-3-5 does is allows you to get pretty much your best athletic, players out there. And it's also because a lot of times now you get more of that spread kind of throw it around, and just a lot of times football is a little bit more pass heavy now. You do get those run first teams, but for the most part, it's, speed, spread, throw it around, and being able to get your speed and your most athletic guys out there helps with that. And it just gives you a chance to be a little bit more exotic when it comes to whether or not where you're going to blitz, where it's going to come from. You got that nickel back in there. You got 3 linebackers, so a lot of times a linebacker will step up somewhere on that line to make it look like a 4-2 anyway. So it gives you a lot of versatility, and it confuses teams as well. Now, where it can hurt you is if you are playing those run-heavy teams and you don't really make your adjustments. But again, it's a newer kind of format as far as defense, and I think that the biggest reason why is probably our personnel.
Okay. Well, it's versatile, right? I mean, it can be.
Yeah. Well, because you got like the Tyrell Richards and the Juan Wallace, just a couple of those guys who have played linebacker, but also came in on the defensive end too. So, I mean, you have that versatility where, again, the 3-3-5, that's only what it says. Okay, 3 down linemen, but a lot of those times in those situations, just like a 3-4 in the NFL, one of those outside linebackers ends up coming in and up on the line and makes it, ends up making it look like a 4-man rush anyway, and it changes what you can do because he's, just in the 2 formation standing up, and they can do different stunts and different blitzes from that package. So, and we have like the speed and the size in the second level as well. You know, we got some guys that are sure tacklers with Cisco and Tro Williams. I think that our linebackers, Mikael Williams, maybe Cantnark, or Pogba coming in, Juan Wallace. Those guys are all really athletic and they're kind of sure tacklers. So that helps as well when you do the 3-3-5 because you do need, if you're going to play 5 secondary guys, you know, they're going to have both being able to, you know, cover the receivers and also come up and, you know, make the tackle against the run. So I just think that it goes towards our strengths. And then to get a guy that is this good a recruiter.
Yeah, that good of a recruiter. And also, like, you know, I don't know. Look, I don't know the guy, but this is what he does. This is what he does. He teaches this defense.
They're saying he's an up-and-coming defensive coordinator, and there's even rumors that this was Baber's first choice anyway. So.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, that's
like I said, just rumors. I'm not claiming anything.
Right. And by the way, nothing's been totally confirmed yet, right? With this coach, like we haven't had. I mean, right?
No, well, you said that he was on another podcast,
well, he was
right?
on. So. Yes. Dominic. I didn't have time to listen to it, Dominic, but he was on the Syracuse Sports podcast. That's the Syracuse.com with Stephen Bailey. I have not listened to it yet. So, but.
And this all could have had something to do with it too, right? Because we're going around looking for coaches, still trying to fill our staff. We were down a couple of recruiters. So a lot of times when your coaching staff is in that type of position, then it's really hard to kind of flip a guy.
Yeah. So we had 4 new signees. And if you want to go through the early signees that we already did, you can go back and find that. And if I was a really good host, I would have already done that. But I'm just now thinking about it as I'm thinking we've got 4 more and we're adding them to the list we already have. So my apologies. I don't have it. It was towards the beginning of basketball season. I can tell you that. Yeah. Right, Joe? Is that fair to say? Okay.
It was after early signing period, yeah. So.
Well, right. Like almost exactly right after.
It was in December.
Okay. All right. Good enough. All right. Look. Let's see. Let's start with 5'11", 180-pound Chase Atkinson. He's a cornerback. He is these. By the way, all of this information I'm giving you comes from 247 Cuse Nation. I believe Mike McAllister put most of this together, if not all of it. So, anyways, that's where it all comes from. The link is still up there. Obviously. You can check it out. 247 Sports composite rating. He's 3 stars. The composite rating for position, safety, cornerback, number 142. He's physical. He's very physical. He loves to tackle and stick his nose in it. So that's according to Jason Siddell, Blythewood head coach of his high school. Now, Blythewood, who did we have that goes there? Someone else went there. Was it Robert Braswell?
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, could be. I don't know. I'll look it up. You go ahead. I'll look it up.
No, this was a guy. He not necessarily. I don't think he was new. I think I don't know exactly what the issue was in the early signing period, but I think it was something to do with academics and just making sure that he was going to be able to qualify. But I think he knew he was coming to Syracuse the whole time. And I remember watching his tape back during early signing period because I thought that we were going to be signing him. And I just remember him, again, kind of going off of what the coach said is he was a guy that I noticed that obviously 5'11", 180, not the biggest guy on the field, but he definitely laid down some big hits, and he was a ball hawk. Like he was trying to, you could see when he was tackling, he was putting the helmet on the ball, and he definitely forced some turnovers and did stuff like that. So looks like a good addition, but again, true freshman and the way that our secondaries lined up already, probably not going to see the field this year, but again, new addition, good addition to be able to, redshirt, get his body right and learn the system.
By the way, yes, Robert Braswell. So
yeah,
they should work really good together on the field together since they know each other already.
Oh yeah, different sports. Okay.
Which is pointless of me bringing it up, but I thought I remembered that anyway, or I read it. So all right, who do we got next? 6'5", 215-pound quarterback. He had other offers from Boise State. It is Dylan Markowitz, who seems to be a big his stock's pretty high, I guess. So his sports composite ranking for his quarterback is 70, pro style quarterback. And let's see, I thought they had some stats. Yeah, senior stats in high school: 224 for 313, 72%, 4,187 yards, 45 TDs, 6 interceptions, and 7 rushing TDs. That's crazy. So
Yeah.
he's not a dual threat, but he shows enough mobility for a big body pocket QB to evade the pass rush and extend plays. When he does so, he's able to find receivers downfield with accuracy. That's according to Gabe Brooks, national recruiting analyst. Now, this is one of technically 3 quarterbacks, but seems like the cream of the crop.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those guys that you wonder about, because you do see the Boise State offer there, and when you see his stats, and he played 7A Texas ball, I did read something though that he this is like his first year that he's actually been able to come in and like start a full season. I do believe there was a situation when he was a sophomore where the starter got hurt and he went in and he played pretty good as a sophomore. But then I think last year they said he had to share time with a senior athlete that was out there playing quarterback as well. So he had a full year, and maybe that's why it took a little while for him to, maybe that's why his stock isn't higher. If he had done this for 3 years, then who knows? But again, I like his height, and I like the way that he played. I watched his tape, like the way that he played. So again, I think it's a pretty decent pickup, especially considering this late in the cycle and trying to get a quarterback. Obviously, we didn't get our first, second, or third option, but not a bad little get this late in the game.
No, I wouldn't say so. Number 70. So, for his position, it's pretty good. So, I don't know if they break it down to quarterback. His says number 70 pro style quarterback. I don't know.
Yeah, they have dual threat. They have,
Okay.
So,
all right. Okay. All right. So, it's a little bit lower than that if you were to just go by the quarterback. 6'4", 200 pound Jacobian Morgan, quarterback, another quarterback, 3-star. Composite ranking according to 247 Sports. Here we go. Number 79 pro style quarterback, according to his coach at Canton High School, Calvin Bolton. He says Jacoby's got the measurables you just can't teach. 200 pounds, strong arm, very smart athlete, and very knowledgeable of his position. His stats for his senior year: 183 for 296, 61.8%, 2,487 yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and 3 rushing TDs.
Yeah, this is another guy. When you read up on his story when he committed, you heard his coach talk about, he's good captain, good leader. We got a diamond in the rough type guy. When I went and looked at his tape, I like his size. I do like the way that, he is smart with the ball. You can see just the natural athletic ability, and you can see the strong arm. But I do think that this is a guy that is going to definitely need to take some time with some technique, stuff like that. He does throw a decent deep ball, but I worry about how long it takes him to get rid of the ball, and what those short timing passes are going to look like and stuff. So again, like they said, like his coach said, he's got the measurables, he's got the head for it. It's just more or less, I think he needs some coaching and some technique for his throwing motion and the way that he kind of sets up the throw. But other than that, he does have all the measurables, and there was definitely some impressive throws and some impressive plays that I saw.
All right, the last one, scholarship player is 6 foot, 185 pound Jihad Carter. This one came late, and everybody was pretty excited about it. So I'm gonna roll with it, I guess. So 3-star sports composite rating, number 1 for prep athlete. So that's how he's listed. According to Mike McAllister, versatile defensive back who can play cornerback or safety, and spent time at both while in high school. So he's going to be good back there. And I guess, 6 foot, 185 pounds is like right perfect size. So right at it.
Yeah. Yep. And again, I think this is just another signing that goes towards the, just makes the 3-3-5 stronger. And again, I think this is really just where we can recruit really, really well. But this is a guy that I didn't think we were going to get him, and I'm glad glad that we did. He ended up reclassifying, going to prep school, but I think it had something to do with grades. But it was basically last year where he was committed to going to Virginia Tech. I mean, he had offers from Michigan, South Carolina, NC State,
Florida Atlantic, I guess. Yeah.
So
Texas Tech.
He went to prep school, and I think he was like with the number 2 prep overall. And so again, I mean, the coach just had nothing but good things to say about, just his leadership and just how smart he was. They basically said that he coached the defensive backs on the field this year. So and you hear stuff like that, and then that he's kind of got that extra year. So he's probably going to come in a little bit more physically developed and prepared than most true freshmen. So this was a good grab, especially, again, like I said, this late in the game. So
yeah, it's pretty awesome. So, I mean, some good gets. I get. We're kind of wondering what the backup quarterback situation is going to be, and I guess we still don't really know. But it's nice to have a few options back there, right? So
yeah. Well, before this, I mean, what do we have? Rex Culpepper,
and that was pretty much it, right?
And then David Summers.
Oh, Summers, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, and he obviously, I know that he was, I think, signed or committed to Maryland before he turned and came with us, but he didn't really look physically ready last year on the sideline and in the spring game. And so, that was going into this. I mean, yeah, maybe nervous for sure. So now, knowing that we have some options. I
mean, it's the options, right? So when you look at this Dylan Markowitz, he's 6'5", 215. I mean, it's a pretty big boy. So, he's still got time to grow. So,
yeah.
And
sometimes
get in the weight room and all that. And
right. And you want to usually get a quarterback every time. And some people, they have their list of quarterbacks and stuff. But then you get down to late in the game, and sometimes you got those scholarships to give. Maybe you don't see any other places where you can do something. Because, I mean, obviously the chances of 2 quarterbacks coming in the same class and them both staying is probably slim to none, right? So this is them throwing, looking at some tape, taking the new offensive coordinator and trying to maybe get a different type of, as you can see, they're both 6'5", taller guys, and bring them in and see if you can find that diamond in the rough or if one sticks,
Yeah. So anyway, they both look like they're they both look their age. They both look like 17, 18 years old. So anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we had to walk on too, right, Joe? That many of you may not have heard of Luke McPhail. I guess I don't have really anything on him. There wasn't a ton. 2-star.
No.
It was a 2-star. He doesn't have really any composite ratings or anything like that. So obviously it's kind of a 2-star walk-on. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I found out about this guy. I was talking to my buddy Sabo.
I don't know if I said quarterback.
Quarterback. Yeah. I was talking to my buddy Sabo last night, and he said that he watched all the guys' tapes, and he said that he thought Luke McPhail's tape was more impressive than all 3 of the quarterbacks. So, but again, you have to look at
highlight. It's a highlight tape.
Well, not only a highlight tape, but I think I look at the overall competition you're playing, right? I mean, obviously, Dylan Markowitz is playing in the best competition, playing down in Texas 7A ball, right? And Jacoby and Morgan don't really know, how competitive his league was down in Mississippi. And then you got the guy, Luke McPhail, who plays in Massachusetts. So, again, though, I was on the phone with my buddy Sabo, and he was just raving about the plays over. I got to get him to send me that highlight tape. But he said he's got a strong arm. He's 6'4". He can move around in the pocket. So, again, a 2-star that probably wanted to get a Division I scholarship and didn't, so took the preferred walk-on. So, again, this is just another shot at maybe some guy coming in with a chip on his shoulder. And, I mean, you got to look at it. Baker Mayfield, he walked on to Texas Tech and took the starting job, and then went and transferred to Oklahoma and walked on because they didn't want to offer him a scholarship. So some guys, they just get overlooked and they come in with a chip on their shoulder, and you just never know.
Yeah, well, there ain't nothing wrong with a chip on your shoulder. That's for damn sure. I'll take those guys all day.
Yeah, and something tells me that all 3 of these guys probably thought they should have got better looks than what they did. So
yeah, not really highly recruited guys, except for Markowitz, who was he had an offer from Boise State. So,
Right.
but I say that, but the cornerback, Jihad Carter, he had some good ones. Virginia Tech, probably Michigan.
Well, yeah, but that was last year.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, with that said, so that's it. We're all caught up on football for now, Joe.
Yeah, I just think, dude, it's interesting with those quarterbacks, man, because going over the depth, like after Tommy DeVito, for any one of those three that are coming in.
We needed something. We talked about grad
it's
transfer.
Open competition for backup.
Oh, absolutely. You got 5 of them back there.
Yeah, open competition. I don't care how long you've been here. Whoever plays better.
And
they got a new offensive coordinator and that's going to be the quarterback coach too. So.
And what are we not going to do this year, though, Joe? What are we not going to do this year? What are we not going to do this year? Sounds exciting. It's exciting. There's nothing wrong with being excited. What we're not going to do, though, we can be excited. We can be excited all we want, but we're not going to set expectations. That's one thing we're not going to do. A lot of new coaches. I don't know how well. A couple of them coming on a little bit late.
Everyone's gonna set their own expectations.
Yeah,
it's just there's low expectations and high expectations.
I got medium expectations. How about that? So anyway,
I'm sure we'll talk about it in the future.
Yeah, for now, football in the rearview mirror, but it's exciting. I can't wait to get some more information, see some more stuff from these guys. It's always fun, but we got a ways to go with that. We still got all summer.
Yep.
So that's that. All right, Wake Forest will head north to Syracuse, as I mentioned earlier, this Saturday, 8 o'clock, to face the Orange in the Dome. Syracuse and Wake Forest have only faced off one time prior to Syracuse joining the ACC. The Orange took that game 74-76. The all-time series between the two teams sits at 8-1 in favor of Syracuse. Wake Forest is led by 6 foot, 195-pound senior guard Brandon Childress, and he leads the Demon Deacons in scoring with 13.5 points a game, 4.7 assists a game, and steals with 1.3. And he's a threat. He can shoot over you, no problem. And he did it last night against Louisville. So 7 foot, 255-pound junior center Olivier Sarr follows up Childress in points with 13 and leads the team in rebounds with 9.4 a game. At 7 foot, you'd imagine that his field goal percentage would probably lead the team, and it does with 50. Now 50 playing around the rim the way he does may be a little bit mediocre. I don't know, but we'll see, I guess. As a team, Wake shoots 42.4% from the field, 74.6% from the line, and 34.1% from three. Wake is, after their game last night against Louisville, which they lost 86-76. They dropped from 107 in the net to 106 in the net. That makes this a quad 3 game at home for Syracuse. When we talk about games that you can't lose, this is one of them. So, Joe, when I was watching that game last night, and I know you were, against Louisville, they came out, they were on fire for about 3/4 of that game. They actually played really, really well. And in Louisville, a team like that, defense like that, is going to chip away and make things difficult, and they did, and they came back and they won that game, but it was at Louisville, and Childress is dynamite. I mean, he was only 2 for 9 from 3, but he did a great job, and so did White.
Yeah, Andrew and White.
Yeah, 5 for 9 from 3, and 6 for 12 from the floor. He led them with 17 points. So, and Sarr was 16 points. They made me a little nervous watching them a little bit, but I don't know, Joe. I don't know. I don't think it's a terrible matchup. Sarr makes me a little nervous, but he's 255 pounds. He's 7 foot tall.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's a big guy, and I don't think that he's necessarily as skilled as some of the other big guys we played. Obviously, Carey, he's not, but this is a team that's going to come out and they're going to play hard. I mean, like you talk about Torrey Johnson, Andrian White, Brandon Childress, all starting guards, all senior guards. Olivier Sarr, he's he's a junior center, and then I know they start Oguama, who's only a sophomore, but he's a 6'9" sophomore. So, again, there's a little bit more height out there as well on the wing. Not a huge score, but they also bring in Chonde Brown, who gets a bunch of minutes off the bench as the other guard, and he's a junior as well. So, They are, an experienced team, although they're not, they haven't been the most successful team throughout the years.
They sit at the bottom of the ACC too this year.
Right.
So they're just,
and again, they have showed sparks in certain instances where they can score, but it's usually only like the certain people. Every once in a while, you'll get a White or a Masood that's on the bench, another freshman that can make some shots, hit some threes, get hot. But I mean, it's mostly Sarr and Childress you really got to worry about. Again, they got some guys that can obviously hit open threes, but their problem really is defense. Like you said, they were up 12 at half yesterday at Louisville, and they lose by 10. They shot 42%, 45%, something like that from the field. But, I mean, Louisville shot 48% and 50%, and then Louisville went 14 and 28 from the three-point line. According to Ken Pom, Wake Forest, their adjusted defense, they're 149th, so that's really where their issue is they're really not a great defensive team. And that's really where we got to take advantage. If they're going to start those three guards, then we're going to have our height advantages with Buddy and Elijah Hughes. And so I'd imagine that Shondae Brown and maybe some of these other taller freshmen, Masood, this other sophomore freshman, I think it's Mucius. He's not too bad either. I wouldn't doubt that they go a little bit taller against us instead of those guards, but they got different lineups they can throw at us. And again, everything that they're doing now is pretty much Hail Mary, I mean, they're a tough, experienced team that is pretty much sick of losing. And you got guys like Brandon Childress, who, as you can see, as the year goes on and on throughout his senior year, he just wants to win, and they play harder and harder every game. So, but we'll be the fresher team.
Yeah, that's right. And, we've talked about that, whether or not that is a big advantage or not. Like I said, though, at the beginning, I really do feel like it is for Syracuse this time around, for sure, because of just the guys that were getting bumped around and stuff like that. And I think, them not having to travel, that's going to really help. And, being at home again, obviously. And we'll see what kind of crowd we can get, too. I'm hoping, we can get a good crowd in there. And this is going to be a must-win. And we're going on a little bit of a road trip of our own. Going to play Florida State and Louisville. So those aren't going to be easy games. Those are our only last ranked opponents of the season during the regular schedule. So,
Well, we talked about them too, right?
Yeah,
Hold.
we talked. Yes, we did. And you got to get one of those. I feel like you really have to get one of those. If you're just going to go through and win the games you should win and lose the ones that maybe you're expected to lose as an underdog, that's not going to get it done come trying to impress anybody.
No, yeah.
Getting in the tournament. It's not going to happen. So,
no.
And I would just like to point out, what? Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, and this is a quad 3. This would be our first quad 3 loss too, right? So
it would be.
We've talked about how we maybe not have beaten a really good opponent. We don't have a really signature win, so to speak, but we don't have a bad loss either.
Right, but the best team we've beaten so far this year is Virginia Tech, and Virginia Tech sits lower than us in the ACC currently. So
right, but net rankings.
I know net rankings, and I'm down like with what James said. Like I'm all about the net rankings. That tells the tale for me. I love the Ken Pom numbers, but the net rankings tell me the tale too. But the Ken Pom numbers are essential.
Yeah, but conference standings don't always tell the whole story.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Who's going to make the tournament?
I understand that,
but the whole spectrum, right?
But right, no, absolutely. But as our best win, they only sit above UNC, Miami, and Wake Forest in the ACC. I'm just saying, Virginia Tech's 5-7 in the ACC, and Wake Forest 3-9. Now we're sitting at 6-5, which isn't exactly lighting anything up, but it's not horrible. And you got Louisville and Florida State, who are first and third in the ACC, and you got a shot to boost your stock a little bit. Not only that, but we are playing still for a 2-game bye, right? I mean, we're still slotted for that. So, I mean, you kind of want to sit there come ACC tournament time, just for as far as the NCAA tournament goes, with the ACC tournament aside, you got to take one of those two. But before you look ahead to that, Don't let this become a trap game on 8 o'clock at Saturday night. Looking ahead to those teams playing a team like Wake Forest, because Wake Forest is not terrible. They're not an awful team.
No.
So
well, that's what we talked about. The middle all the way to, like, there's not a huge gap between the worst team in the league and, you know, the 5th or 6th. So you don't come out and play, then you might lose. So, and the reason I brought that whole buy-sell or hold thing up was that I know that I said that we didn't need to win both of those, but we turn around and lose both of these next home games, then that answer might change. So, again, we need to stay the course the way that ACC has kind of been with us. It was a little weird in the beginning when we had those close losses and having to start the year with Virginia, but then coming back and getting the redemption, going on the road and beating them. I think that we kind of cleared that. Obviously, Clemson on the road was a tough loss, but we need to get these next 2 wins before we go on the road against these guys because, it's going to be that'll at least average us out a little bit. We can get to 15-9. Doesn't look that bad. Not as bad as, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got
13-11 and having to beat them on the road.
Yeah, NC State's no slouch. So, you know, they're right there. But we'll talk about NC State later. But, so anyways, I think Syracuse will outlast Wake Forest. I would like to think so, but you never know. Being at home, I feel good about it. But
like you said, the crowd's got to be there. They got to be involved.
Yeah, it's a Saturday night. I think our crew will show up on a Saturday night. I think they'll be there. So they think the students will be there. Students were fantastic against Duke, which, you know, it's a big game. So, but with that aside, who cares? They're great. So. That's it. Anything else to add for Wake, Joe?
Nope. Just Saturday's going to be a long day. Wait until 8 o'clock.
I know, it's always like that, but basketball starts at noon, Joe. It starts at noon. You can start watching basketball at noon. No one says you can't watch other games and drink a couple beers. You know?
That makes it,
Makes it an even longer day.
Yeah.
And then 8 o'clock feels like 12 o'clock.
Yeah, I know, right? I'll go run some errands and clean my car or something.
You'll go get something to eat. You'll go out to get something to eat. Sit at the bar by yourself, drink beer, eating a burger.
Oh, shut up.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
If I go to the bar, I go and get a couple beers and take the food to go.
Oh, you take the food to go?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weak. I don't do that. Oh, come on, man. I got a nice little spot within walking distance, and I'm going to eat.
I don't need to eat all that.
Well, you could take it with you once you eat some of it. I mean, no one says you got to wolf it down. You can't bring it home. I'm sure they got to-go boxes. They're giving you a to-go box.
That's why I just tell them to put it in a to-go box right from the beginning.
You are so
Let's not make this harder than it has to be, right?
Oh, my gosh. Anyways, that's classic Joe. So, all right. Well, look, we will be back here. Same bat time. Same bat channel.
Bat time. Hey, Batman. Are you Bat Dad?
No. I'm not that.
Batman.
I'm not that outgoing. That's why I sit behind a mic and I don't put myself on videos because
Sean,
no one needs to see that.
Sean.
My mom said I got a face for radio, so I just went with it. All right. We're out of here. Look, thanks, my bookie. Thanks to all of you for listening. Hey, and thanks for the man, I've been getting emails and DMs and all sorts of stuff for that episode that we did with James. People loved it. So if I could pay James, I'd just have him on every time. And then I could just host the show and let James and Joe go at it. But this dude works for he needs to get paid, and I can't pay him chump change like I paid Joe, which is exactly zero. So
yep, pretty much.
Shut the hell up. All right, that's it. So we will be back here Sunday after the Wake game. Go Syracuse. Thanks, my bookie. Thanks to all of you. For Joe, I'm Sean. Thanks to James on guitar. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Cuse Militia Podcast, the fan's voice with Sean and Joe.